So I want to talk about the New Japan Cup today. It's been ongoing. It is happening right now. As I'm recording this on the 11th, March 11th. So we have started round 2, actually. So the first round of knockouts has happened. We're already moving on to round 2, and I have some thoughts, as I'm sure anyone who's been watching the Cup has. And I think the more generalized feeling right now in regards to the New Japan Cup right now is, and you can't blame anyone for feeling that way. It's been extremely underwhelming so far. I think compounded with what's been happening in New Japan as well when I say what's been happening, with the big exits of New Japan, I'm talking specifically of Will Ospreay and Kazuchika Okada. There's a lot of deflation from, at the very least, Western fans in regards to New Japan. That seems to be permeating a little bit what's been going on with the Cup as well. But I think it goes a little deeper than that, right? Again, I can't really blame anyone for being a little out of it. I think the first round of the 2024 New Japan Cup has been terrifyingly underwhelming. Some good matches, some complete stinkers. One really great match that I think should be on your radar, but everything else is ultimately skippable. And I want to go at this maybe one step at a time, because I am not part of the New Japan is so over defeatist crowd. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've watched wrestling for too long and I know how things go. Things happen in cycles in pro wrestling, and if New Japan is having a bit of a down cycle right now, or at least since some would argue last year, I think that's entirely. I think that's normal. I think at some point you have to cycle out of a decade of people who have been carrying this company, because essentially, the big, brilliant golden age, if you want to call it that, the gilded age of New Japan of the 2000s, were all carried by guys who are broken down, old, or just completely, hit the bricks and left. Tanahashi, we just have to all sit down and hold each other's hands and come to a realization that he's just done. He's not going to be able to do anything moving forward. When it comes to Naito, it's a question of when. When is he going to completely break down? He's already hanging by a thread, if you ask me. He's still able to deliver in big moments, but there's stuff that he does is not as crisp, a little sloppier, and the Destinos are getting a little tougher. They're getting a little rougher. It's a question of when. So of course we're cycling through the past guys who made that great era. As we're cycling through them, we're entering a new era with new guys. So I'm not worried. Sure, Will Ospreay could have stuck around, but Will Ospreay understands that he's a major big time star. He is a big room energy superstar. He wants to challenge himself. He put himself into AEW. Good for him. Okada, same thing to a degree. He wants to see if he could do anything anywhere else. What else does Okada had to do in New Japan? He's done it all. And I'm talking on a personal level. I'm not running into the business optics here, where you could say, well, Kazuchika Okada, he could have had a business, but a corporate spot. They could have put him in charge of something, whatever. Maybe the guy just wants to challenge himself and do something else. And I understand that. So he moves on and he gets much more money. I mean, regardless of what the reports are, how accurate or inaccurate the Tokyo Sports report regarding his salary is, regardless of that, he's making more money in New Japan than he is in. He's making more money in the AEW than he was in New Japan in any way, shape, or form. So even if those guys leave, you still have a crop of wrestlers that are young and hungry and that you've been slowly establishing as the next generation, the next stars, if you will, of the company. You kind of have to figure that it's about time now for you to pull the trigger on them and put them in some big time positions. And yet here we are with the first round in the New Japan Cup, and it doesn't feel like the new generation is taking is going forward. We're not trying to make New Japan exciting again. No, there's some very questionable booking happening right now. Now we have to double back here for a second before we get any deeper into this. Opening salvos of the New Japan Cup are never super exciting, right? I think we have a tendency to compare these to the G1, or at least the G1s of the Gilded era of about 10 years ago, where out the gate, the first few rounds, dudes are pummeling each other. They're having these great, outstanding matches from top to bottom. You're just having these extraordinary cards. You're bouncing out of your seat. And I think we're applying that logic to the Cup, where the Cup is its own beast. And it's not the same as the G1, especially when the G1 was much more compact and was just 2 blocks of guys, right? Instead of the mass, there's so many guys in the G1 right now. It's practically a village. It has its own zip code. The opening rounds of the Cup, at least over the past couple of years, have never been really exciting. Okay, if we go back to last year, we had openers like Ren Narita versus Evil. Not exactly going to get the blood pumping, right? Toru Yano versus Mark Davis. Shota Umino versus Yujiro Takahashi, and then this movement sort of, and then it also permeates a little bit into the second round where you get, you get Great Okan versus Dave Finlay, which was not great. It's not the first couple. They can't all be Shingo versus Hinare, is what I'm trying to say. In 2022, it wasn't necessarily any better. You had some bright spots like you always do. You had Okada versus Desperado, but then you end up having, you end up getting Shima versus Taka Michinoku. You're like, okay. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Yo. Togi Makabe versus Jeff Cobb. Hanma versus Yoshihashi. Kota Ibushi versus Great Okan, which in my memory was a bit of a stinker. Yuto Nakashima versus Aaron Hanare. But, it's Chase Owens versus Jado, for fuck's sake. Taguchi versus Evil. This was the round 1 of the 2022 New Japan Cup. It's not necessarily the thing that's going to blow your mind. That's not necessarily what it's designed for. I think the field is too big, but I understand why they put so many guys on these tours now. I get it. I understand the business aspects of it. I understand the retention part of it for pro wrestlers to be in it. I understand how it is. But I think to automatically equate this into, hey, New Japan is really in a terrible place. Look how shit the opening round of the New Japan Cup is. They kind of been recently. Even when Ospreay and Okada were still around, it was still kind of shit. So, it's not something I'm necessarily perturbed about. Now, you can absolutely make a case for some of the decisions that are being made, some of the victories, the booking of the New Japan Cup. That's something that we can gripe about, that we can complain about, because there has been some highly questionable decisions that have been made on so far in this tournament. Everyone points to Tangaloa going over the Great Okan. Yeah, Chase Owens is also one that people are going, hey, what's this all about? As he defeated Tomohiro Ishii. At the same time, Chase Owens, very, very well liked backstage. I'm not entirely surprised he moved over, even though he was not my pick, and is a champion right now. He's belted up. He's a tag team champion. It makes kind of sense to have him go over Ishii, who is never going to be pushed in New Japan at this stage. We understand that, right? Like, you'd have to have a tremendous change in management, bigger than what we have here, for this to ever happen. Ren Narita over Taichi, but again, I understand the House of Torture right now. House of Torture right now is really hot, whether you like it or not. They're getting pushes, they're getting wins. It's all a collective thing. Jack Perry's in the tournament, and he's part of House of Torture now. So, and the fact that there is a lot of House of Torture in the tournament, I think, is bringing a lot of people down, a lot of people who don't like it, and I know there's some people who are very adamant in defending it. There are people who are very much okay with it and are like, oh, that's fine, I understand it, and it's over in the building. And I get that the Japanese crowds apparently are in, they don't like it, and it gets really great heel reactions. Not everything is booked for us Westerners, but for my tastes, as a professional wrestling consumer, House of Torture is unnecessary. I don't want House of Torture in my New Japan. If I want House of Torture shenanigans, I just have to watch wrestling on Mondays or Fridays, and I'll get all the House of Torture style bookings that I need, that I crave. I don't need that in New Japan. For me, as a Western viewer, New Japan is an escape from North American booking trends. So when this kind of, let's just call it what it is, bullshit happens, then I sort of flip my remote control, and I flip my remote control. I toss my drink at the TV, and I say, malarkey. This is malarkey. I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that the first round of the Cup kind of stunk, and we're sort of looking forward to the second round to get us in the swing of things, make it feel alive again. Because right now, New Japan feels cold as ice. So I'm hoping that the second round is going to be able to do it. But when you got things like what do we got? Second round, the second round started today. You get Jack Perry versus Toru Yano, and you get Yoshihashi versus Sanada, which wasn't so bad, it was fine. We just, sloppy Sanada decided to show up. But it was a fine match. But again, nothing that you're gonna, put on that you're gonna stop everything and drop whatever it is you're doing, whoever you're entertaining, whatever you're pursuing to watch. But as far as second round goes, this isn't necessarily inspiring confidence. Just like tomorrow's show, the 12th, on March 12th, Tonga Loa versus David Finlay. This is a second round match, folks. This is a second round match. David Finlay and Tonga Loa. Plus, we're getting main event Chase Owens. Get ready for that. Get ready for some big night 2 action with Chase Owens in the main event against Hiroki Goto. Like, I'm very measured, but overall, my feeling is I'm disappointed. I think this stinks so far. I think it's bad. I don't think the New Japan, look, let's run down what has happened so far. Okay. I'll give you some quick rundown, some star ratings maybe, because, there have been people, in the Discord. You should join the MrWarrenHayes Discord, by the way, link is in the description. There are some people who have been asking me straight out, right? It's like, oh, Warren, is there anything I should watch, right? The Cup started on the anniversary show on March 6th, where it was, we had Yujiro Takahashi versus Toru Yano, and that you absolutely do not have to watch that. For your own sake, don't watch it. Yoshihashi versus Kenta was a good little match, and probably one of the better Kenta performances we've seen in a while, and probably that we'll see this year. So if you're interested in seeing a good Kenta match, and I'm not saying a great Kenta, I'm not trying to oversell this to you, but if you're interested in seeing a good Kenta match, especially all of you keep telling me Kenta's still great and he's great and he wrestles this guy and he's great. Every time Kenta comes out, he's great. Here is what I consider to be a good Kenta match. Go check it out. That's fine. And he had Shota Umino versus Jack Perry in the main event, which had the Jack Perry turn. Significant if you want to see that, but otherwise, like, this was a good match until the finish, ultimately. So, all the anniversary show, skippable. Even the main event, which was Naito versus Sho. I don't think there was anything really interesting there. Then we move on officially to the nights of cup action. Night 1, which was in Corkin Hall on March 7. Tomohiro Ishii and Chase Owens. Chase Owens went over. I gave that a 3.5, but I mean, Tomohiro Ishii is who he is, right? And some people went harder on it. I higher is what I'm trying to say. But I think this was a completely fine Ishii match. He delivered. He did everything that we love about him, but there was nothing really spectacular about it, if that makes sense. And maybe it had a little to do with his dance partner. Maybe they just worked to the effort that they needed to put in here. Great Okan versus Tangaloa was mediocre. Yeah, don't even think about it. And TJP versus David Finlay was fine. I gave it 3.25 stars. It was all right. Nothing to write home about. It was all right. Then we move on to night 2 on March 8th. Hikuleo went over Boltin Oleg. No surprise here. Boltin Oleg is still considered to be a young lion. This was all right, but nothing more. And, there's only so much juice you can squeeze out of Hikuleo at the same time. So it is what it is. I give it 2.75 stars. There is a great moment where Boltin Oleg is just swinging Hikuleo around in a gut wrench over and over again. That was a spectacular moment, but other than that, Gabe Kidd versus Caleb Newman. Gabe Kidd went over, 3.25 star, fine, good little match. And then the main event was Yuya Uemura versus Shingo Takagi. Shingo went over here. I gave it 3.75 stars. It just missed a little something before go over for me in a great match, but you can't go wrong with Shingo. But again, it's not necessarily something I tell you, go out there and watch. You absolutely have to. Wow. I'm leaving that in there. And then we had night 3 on March 10. El Fantasmo goes over Mikey Nichols. I gave that 3.5 stars. I thought it was pretty good. Taichi versus Ren Narita. I gave it 3 stars. Too much nonsense that took me out of the match, which was a shame. But in the main event, Yota Tsuji defeated Jeff Cobb. I give it 4.5 stars. First great match of the tournament. It's the match of the tournament so far. There's your bar. Just a tremendous match of two guys, just two huge, strapping guys, beefy, strong dudes hitting each other, doing power moves on each other. Tremendous stuff. Absolutely tremendous stuff. I'm into that stuff. That is a match you should put on your radar. You should try to seek out. If you have your New Japan World subscription, well, then that's very easy. So you see, round 1 for me was very tepid. Nothing to write home about. I don't think it was particularly good, but I'm not going to sit here and cry wolf and say, the company's dead. Ospreay and Okada leaving were a mistake. I think this is a pattern. Now, if we keep getting, if round 2 continues to underdeliver like it did today with Perry and Yano and Sanada and Yoshihashi, well, then there's a problem. There's a theory going around right now that maybe this bad booking of the tournament and of recent New Japan shows, to be completely honest, there's a theory going around that maybe it's intentional. That maybe Gedo is trying to pass a message here. He's trying to that there's some political wranglings going on. It's a rumor, but if so, it kind of sucks that it's at the detriment of not only the fans, but of some great wrestlers who are on the up and coming and really need these spots to break out and shine. Which is why I find it kind of weird that this would be an actual thing that Gedo would do, self-sabotage to a degree to sort of prove a point or to win a war or, whatever political game is going on. Because he did spend a good amount of time trying to get, if only the Three Musketeers +1 to a degree where people are excited to see them. Maybe Ren Narita a little less. But nonetheless, I feel that it would be very strange that he tried to build them up only to tear them down. But it's pro wrestling. Who knows what's going on? I don't know if I subscribe to that theory. It's a little strange. But I do subscribe to the idea that the New Japan Cup so far is a bit of a snooze fest. So as much as I may subscribe to that idea of the New Japan Cup not being great, you should subscribe to the MrWarrenHayes Show channel right here. I'm going to continue doing these little bits and bobs, these little videos where I've got stuff to say, I have thoughts to share as we go along. I enjoy them. I hope you enjoy them too. Let me know in the comments. Drop some likes and whatnot. And hope to see you around soon. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.